Well, Notre Dame just beat USC 34-24 in what I thought was a playoff elimination game, although maybe a glimmer of hope for USC. We'll explain that in just a moment. There was rain, there was turnovers. What a crazy game. We'll recap it all live. I'll get your live reaction as well in the comments section. Plus, we'll recap the entire day around the Big Ten. UCLA, by the way, just won it at the Horn at the Rose Bowl against Maryland. We got everybody right here. Locked On Big Ten Live starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Sheeman. 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. While you're here, especially if you're new, hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching and share, follow, and like. And you can hype YouTube videos now as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So USC, Notre Dame, the big one. This thing's been going on for 100 years. Plus, the rest of the Big Ten. Penn State loses again. Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, they all roll. UCLA at the Horn against Maryland. We got a lot to talk about here. Plus, before we leave, we'll have our first look ahead to Week 9, if you can believe it. We're that far in the season already. But let's jump in. This is live, real-time, raw post-game reaction from me and from you. Hit me up in the comments section here, and we'll get to those in our next segment. Interesting going into this game. I really did think it was a playoff elimination game, more so for Notre Dame than USC. Both teams are now 5-2, but keep in mind, this is a non-conference loss for USC. So just one conference loss in the Big Ten. Maybe they can get back into the mix right now. But Notre Dame absolutely could not have lost this game. They would have been their third loss. They would have been out of the playoff chase. So they stay alive. They were 10.5-point favorites. They won by 10. Whew, Vegas knows what it's doing right there. By the way, they said the USC team total would be 23. They got 24, which I was surprised at the number before the game because they hit 30 points a game at least every single game. Vegas knows what it's doing. That's why we got big, shiny buildings in Las Vegas that are all paid for. And by the way, Lincoln Riley has never won as a road dog at USC. Did you know that? Didn't win tonight either. So let's get into it. Let's start off with USC and the opening drive. Of course, the offensive line, I thought early on, was blowing Notre Dame off the ball. Nice run, pass, balance by USC. 10-play, 75-yard drive. Jeremiyah Love, perfect pass to the back pylon right there for Lake McCree to score the touchdown. And Notre Dame and USC's up 7-0 early on. But then Notre Dame, Jeremiyah Love, boom, had that 63-yard run, quick 4-play drive, and they get the 12-yard touchdown. And so we're all tied just like that. I thought we were going to have a shootout in the 50s at this point. Jeremiyah Love would keep being a problem for USC. Rushed for 228 yards tonight. USC couldn't stop them. I think USC only had like 70 yards on the ground tonight. So they won that battle for sure. Later on, USC gets the ball back. I remember Maeva was scrambling. Chucked it to Hines for 21 yards down to the Notre Dame 29-yard line. They stalled there, and they had to settle for the Ryan Sayeri 42-yard field goal, but they're on top, 10-7 at this point. 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. We've already had 17 points scored in this ball game. Notre Dame punted, USC punted. Notre Dame was sacked 3 and out, another punt, USC punted. So all of a sudden, this high-flying game we had at the beginning started to settle down and slow down, became a bit of a punt fest as well as we go into the second quarter. By the way, as we go into the second quarter, Notre Dame at this point has 107 yards rushing against USC. USC gave up 109 total to Michigan the week before, just to give you some perspective of what's going on. So Notre Dame's got the ball in the second quarter. There was the Jadarian Price 16-yarder touchdown for USC. Notre Dame taking a 14 lead at that point. But USC comes back And Mayava is getting sacked. There was a fumble. There was a defensive holding. King Miller rushing a little bit. Remember him, the hero from last week as well. They go for it on a 4th and 3 inside the Notre Dame 20, incomplete pass turnover on downs. I don't know if I like the play calling at that point. Notre Dame then gets the ball. Love runs for 27 yards. Now, we got 9 minutes left the second quarter. He's over 100 yards at this point. Lost his helmet a couple of times at this point as well. But he had a nice run with a stiff arm for 17 yards to the USC 3-yard line. And at this point, it looks like that Notre Dame's about to blow this game open. But then C.J. Carr rolls out. He gets intercepted by Breland Shelby. This with 5:51 to go in the second quarter. USC, this is their 6th red zone takeaway this year. Looks like they stopped the bleeding here at this point. They're at the USC 22-yard line, and Brian Jackson goes 17 yards to the 37. There was the 13-yard play to Jacoby Lane down to the Notre Dame 24. There was a pass interference. Then Hussein Longstreet comes in and for the play on a second and goal for no gain. I thought it was a horrible play to call at that point. There was no need to bring him in and do that. It didn't fool anybody. It wasted it down. That was my opinion. Mayava, bad pass at the goal line. And then remember, that was the one that called the interception, even though it bounced. So we had to review that. I don't know what the officials were looking for there. Bad officiating at that point. USC has to settle for a field goal. Sayeri comes in for a 24-yard field goal. So USC is trailing by 14-13 at this point. So Notre Dame, 1-point lead still at this point with 1:43 to go in the half. Notre Dame punts. USC gets the ball. Remember King Miller with the 13-yard run. Then Mayava gets sacked. And only the 3rd time all season, by the way. And at that point, they decided to just milk it. Let's go into the locker room down by 1. So Notre Dame 14, USC 13 at the half. At this point, Notre Dame's got 182 yards rushing in the half. Opening drive, Notre Dame, second half. There was the 4th and 1. Jeremiyah Love gets the first down to the USC 21-yard line. Love again, 10 yards to the 8, first and goal. USC can't stop Love. Notre Dame's Carr finds Will Pauling for a 6-yard touchdown. So Notre Dame at this point extends its lead to 21-13. All right, so here we are in the third quarter. That was a 13-play, 75-yard drive. Now UCLA stalls. They got to settle for a 44-yard field goal in the rain. They get a little closer, 21-16. Notre Dame can't take advantage here. They end up punting the ball back to USC. The next USC drive was important. There were a couple of pass interferences they could take advantage of. They did. Jacoby Lane had the 66-yarder from Mayava, and they get the touchdown, but they miss on the they got the touchdown, the 2-point conversion there they attempted. USC takes a 24-21 lead at that point after the conversion. So, but then lightning strikes back again. And not only was it inclement weather, but lightning was striking on the field as well. Jadarian Price with a 100-yard kickoff return. Right when it looked like USC had the momentum and I thought they were going to win the game, Notre Dame answers back with a 100-yard kickoff return. And just a backbreaker and momentum for USC at that point. And then they retake the 27-24 lead, but they missed the extra point. Notre Dame's kicker was horrible tonight. So it remains a 3-point game at this point. Jade Mayava for USC. Then he gets intercepted by Christian Gray. And more Jeremiyah Love, up to 78 yards at this point. We'll go to the fourth quarter. And Notre Dame leads 27-24. More ground and pound with Love. They can't stop him. So USC, though, on a 3rd and 9, they find Makai Lemon for 42 yards to the Notre Dame 37, right? And then that stupid play, Mayava, he gives it to Makai Lemon, who's rolling out. And then as he's rolling out on the reverse, we see he's actually going to throw the ball. But there's nowhere to go. He stops, and he can't decide. Do I incomplete pass, get rid of the ball? What do I do? It's wet. Boom. It was a fumble. He lost it. Absolutely dropped it. Notre Dame recovers. Another turnover. We got about 11 minutes to go. Notre Dame's got the ball on the 50-yard line. Who are they going to? Jeremiyah Love. Now he's over 200 yards at this point. And then Carr ended up running the last couple of yards on the last 2 plays into the end zone for the touchdown. And now Notre Dame is up 34-24 with 7 minutes to go. USC gets stopped on a 4th and short. They throw the ball. I don't know what they were throwing the ball for. They should have run the ball at that point. I didn't like that. That was the one with under 6 minutes to go. But they do stop Notre Dame. So, because Notre Dame was in a weird spot. Couldn't punt, too far to kick. Their kicker was horrible. 4th and long, they had to go for it. They throw an incomplete pass. Now USC gets the ball back again at this point, their last 3 possessions. They have an interception. They have a fumble, turnover on downs. And this drive, too, would end in an interception. And that's our final score, 34-24. Both teams sitting at 5-2. USC fans, I want to hear from you. Again, I don't think you're done and toasted yet. You just got one conference loss. That is still Notre Dame's. There's still a little bit of glimmer of hope for USC, mind you. I said Notre Dame. For USC, maybe, if they could come out on top in the Big Ten, that's their chance. Notre Dame, their schedule is Cupcake City moving forward. So they've got 2 losses to ranked teams. They beat USC, and they can win out the rest of the way. I think Notre Dame's going to the playoffs. That was how big that game was for them. Give me your comments. If we have new Notre Dame fans, sign up. Go ahead. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. But give me a comment on what you thought about tonight's game. We'll get to all your comments, but you can hit that free subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode because we're here every day. I know we're live on Saturday, but we're live Monday, or we do a podcast Monday through Friday as well. Every day, multiple podcasts, all things Big Ten. We also have a website at talkbig10.com, number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. If you're just discovering us, you can go check them out, see what we did this week leading up to this big weekend. Plus, there are links for your favorite Big Ten school merchandise right there as well. All right, we still have a lot to do. I'm going to come back with your comments. Also, because I love your real-time, real live interaction and comments on this stuff. We'll talk about Indiana rolling. We'll talk about Ohio State rolling. Another bad day for Wisconsin. Penn State loses again. UCLA at the Horn beating Maryland. We got a lot to talk about, all the other Big Ten games. We will handle all that as we continue on a live edition here of Locked On Big Ten. Hey, it's the weekend, and it's time to look back at this week's MVP, who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most, so let's break it down. I'm going to give it to Fernando Mendoza today for his 4 touchdown passes today in the Hoosiers win. I could throw this around to just about anybody around the Big Ten today. A lot of great performances. They all delivered when the game was on the line, just like DoorDash delivers, especially on Saturdays. Stack up all season long. You can save up to $250 just by ordering every single Saturday, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order on Saturdays. Keep your streaks alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Supply House. Are you in the business of construction or repairs? If you don't have supplies, you can't get any work done. You're leaving money on the table. Supply House is where you need to go. They have parts from all over the country that can get to your doorstep the next day. Over 280,000 parts for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join their free Trademaster program as well today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHColleges5, number 5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Supplyhouse.com. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten Live. We are every day. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. It's free. Share, follow, and like. That helps us out, too. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com as well. I'm going to get to your real live comments, post-game comments on that Notre Dame USC game and all the other games from the Big Ten as well. But let's talk about them first before we get to the comments. This weekend, I'm going to go in chronological order. Started on Friday with number 25, Nebraska at Minnesota. They're not going to be 25 anymore, as Minnesota beat them 24-6. This is a weird game. Minnesota led 7-6 at the half. Darius Taylor, 148 yards, got 71 on one play and scored a touchdown. Jake Lindsey had 153 yards and a touchdown. And the Minnesota defense tied a school record with 9 sacks of Dylan Raiola. Couldn't find his way. kept getting sacked. That offensive line for Nebraska was horrible. Anthony Smith and Carter Mins had 2.5 sacks each, and the Huskers were held without a touchdown for the first time since 2016. Now, by the way, do you know PJ Fleck is 7-1 against Nebraska? That's right. The Huskers lost a couple offensive linemen in this game. Rocco Spindler, broken finger, and Elijah Pritchett was ejected for targeting. And you have to wonder, Matt Rule, without putting the fire out on the questions about is he interested in replacing James Franklin at Penn State, his alma mater, did that have anything to do with his team's mental makeup on this road game? Maybe. I think so. Meanwhile, at noon today, Michigan 24, Washington 7. Both teams sit at 5-2. Washington was horrible, turned the ball over. And meanwhile, Michigan rebounded from its 18-point loss at USC last week. But, this game was kind of a grinder in the first half, 7-7. Washington quarterback Damon Williams Jr., who we praise all the time, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week last week with his 538-yard performance versus Rutgers, threw 3 interceptions in this game. 2 on consecutive possessions, by the way. Meanwhile, Bryce Underwood, pretty efficient day, 21-27 for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's playing behind a banged-up offensive line. They had another injury today, Evan Link, their left tackle. Michigan right now has the youngest offensive line in the Big Ten. So Underwood, I thought, did a pretty good job of scrambling and running when he had to. When the line broke down, made a couple of passes here today. Jordan Marshall at running back, remember, because Justice Haynes is out hurt. Marshall, 25 carries and a career high, 133 yards and a touchdown. Cole Sullivan, Jimmy Rolder, and Jacob Oden all had interceptions on the day. Northwestern blanked Purdue 19-0. Northwestern's red hot right now. They're off their big upset win over Penn State. Today's shutout over Purdue. The Wildcats have won 4 in a row. They're 5-2. That's right. Preston Stone threw for 2 touchdowns. Jack Olson kicked a couple of field goals. Purdue has now lost 5 in a row, 13 straight conference games, and Ryan Brown, horrible today, 5 of 10 for just 31 yards passing. Brutal. Meanwhile, number 1, Ohio State out at Wisconsin. You want to talk about brutal. We're going to talk about Wisconsin here. Ohio State, I couldn't help but think if they called off the dogs a little bit here. But Wisconsin goes 2 straight games without scoring. They get shut out. Luke Fickell in trouble. Luke Fickell, of course, an Ohio State alum. I don't know if they went easy on them. They only scored 34 points. 34-0 was the final scores. The Buckeyes improved to 7-0. I mean, even Iowa beat Wisconsin 37-0. I thought Ohio State would put a 50 burger on them today, but they didn't. Julian Sayin did throw 4 touchdown passes today, 2 to Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate with another highlight catch in the end zone on his first touchdown. He's had 3 of them that have been really spectacular this season. And so they get the shutout, as I predicted on Friday. They covered, as I predicted on Friday. But they did not hit the 41.5, with just the 37 points. Who knew? So the Buckeyes have won their 7 games by an average of 30.6 games. Meanwhile, the disaster at Wisconsin continues. They suffered the back-to-back shutout losses for the first time since 1977. Again, I mentioned the shutout last week to Iowa, and it gets worse. They lost their last 5 games by an average of 25 points, and 10 in a row losses against Power 4 schools. Luke Fickell, are we going to hear some news tomorrow? I don't know how much longer. If he's still around to face Oregon next, boy, that doesn't get any easier. At Oregon, I might add, and they're at Indiana later on. Both those on the road. Speaking of Indiana, coming off that big win against Oregon, they're number 2 ranking number 3 ranked. They're going to be number 2. Miami lost this weekend, so Indiana will be the number 2 team in the country tomorrow. Can you believe that? And by the way, they paid Curt Cignetti handsomely with a $93 million contract extension on Thursday. So a lot going on with Indiana. They beat Michigan State 38-13 today. Michigan State's offense actually looked pretty good against the Hoosiers. They had some trouble in the first quarter and a half. In fact, in the first half, Michigan State chewed up 19 minutes of time of possession in that ball game in that first half. But Indiana, they only had 3 possessions in the first half. But they scored touchdowns on all 3 of them. So they led 21-10 at the half, And then they got the ball first in the second half, and Fernando Mendoza found Omar Cooper for a 48-yard touchdown, and they were off and rolling. They answered with a 27-yard strike to make it 35-10, and both teams traded field goals in the final quarter for your final score. Mendoza, very much in the Heisman race for the Hoosiers, finished with 332 yards and 4 touchdown passes, no picks. Omar Cooper, 8 catches, 115 yards and a touchdown. And Elijah Surratt scored 2 touchdowns in this ball game. Also on defense, Rolla Hardy and Steve Daly had 2 sacks each in this game. The Oregon Ducks, they traveled all the way across the country, their longest travel date of the year. They go all the way to Rutgers, and they roll 56-10. One thing we cautioned about is, hey, how would they be in the first quarter? Would they be sluggish coming off the loss to Indiana? Would they be sluggish with the cross-country flight, kind of reminiscent of the Northwestern game a few weeks ago? The answer to that question is no. They were fine. They scored quickly and often. In fact, 2 quick touchdowns early on. Noah Whittington, a 68-yarder. Dante Moore found Kenyon Sadiq for a 30-yarder. They would hook up twice on the day for touchdowns. They just absolutely rolled. It was 42-3 at the half. This thing was over early on the day. Dante Moore, 4 touchdown passes, 1 pick, 290 yards. Noah Whittington, 125 on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Jordan Davison also rushed for 100 yards on just 3 carries. He had a 67-yarder on there. And Kenyon Sadiq, as I mentioned, only 4 catches, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. Athan Kaliak-Manis for Rutgers he's been flying high. They've been scoring a lot of points at Rutgers. He had his worst game of the year, maybe of his career. 8 completions out of 25 attempts, 79 yards, no touchdowns. And Ian Strong, who's good for 100 yards every time he goes out there, 1 catch for 6 yards on the day for Rutgers. Meanwhile, Penn State, the trouble continues. They lose 25-24 at Iowa. This is a pretty good game, actually, but that's 4 losses in a row for Penn State. Mark Gronowski for Iowa started off this game by throwing an interception to Zakee Wheatley at the Iowa 35, and then Penn State, a quick, short burst, 10-play, 35-yard drive. Katron Allen, a 1-yard touchdown to take a 7-0 lead. Iowa kicked a field goal to get on the scoreboard down 7-3. Iowa missed a 46-yard field goal, so it stayed at 7-3. That was the first quarter. On to the second quarter. Penn State, they lost it. Ethan Grunkemeyer, who's now the new quarterback in for Drew Aller, threw 2 interceptions. So Mark Gronowski took advantage of that, had a 1-yard touchdown to take a 10-7 lead for Iowa. Iowa then, at the end of the half, attempted a 66-yard field goal. Coach's nightmare. It got blocked. It got returned 35 yards the other way. Penn State got a cheap touchdown at the end of the game on special teams. Kirk Ferentz probably still second-guessing that one right now. So Penn State was up 14-10 at the half. In the third quarter, they traded touchdowns. Katron Allen had an 8-yard touchdown on a 10-play, 75-yard drive. Penn State goes up now 21-10. They were up 21-10 at this point. But then Iowa's Mark Gronowski had a 4-yard touchdown. 2-point conversion failed, but Iowa draws within 21-16. We go to the final quarter. Iowa gets a field goal. This one didn't get blocked. They kicked a 31-yarder. So now it's 21-19. They're getting close. Penn State had a 32-yard field goal to wrap up a 16-play drive. They go up 24-19. We're under 5 minutes to go in the game. But then Iowa's Mark Gronowski had a 67-yard run right through the Penn State defense. Caden Weegan had an 8-yard touchdown. And that gave Iowa the 25-24 lead with 3:50 to go. And Penn State got the ball, and they couldn't do with it. They were midfield, couldn't do anything with it. 4th down, incomplete pass, game over. Boom. Iowa with a win. Penn State, 4 straight loss for a team that was preseason number 2 in the country. And UCLA. This was a weird game against Maryland out at the Rose Bowl, but UCLA wins it with a field goal at the horn, 20-17. So UCLA has won 3 straight. They're 3-4 after the 0-4 start. Maryland started out 4-0, but they've lost 3 straight. They're now 4-3. So in the first quarter, all the drives ended in punts. Maryland even had they had an 18-play, 88-yard drive. They ended up kicking a 24-yard field goal early in the second quarter. Much of that drive was in the first quarter. UCLA answered back with a 4-play, 71-yard drive. Anthony Frias the second, a 55-yard touchdown run. UCLA now up 7-3. Now, from this point forward, it was punts, fumbles, interceptions for the rest of the half. 7-3 into the third quarter. It's a very ugly game. But then it started heating up a little bit. So Maryland, a 4th and goal from the 2. Great defensive play. Or actually, UCLA, 4th and goal from the 2. And Nico Yamaleva had his threw pass to the left side. Andre Jordan Jr. Knocked it away, intended for Dorian Fleming. So UCLA takes over, right? Shortly thereafter that. And after Maryland couldn't do anything, Nico threw for an 8-yard pick 6 when UCLA got the ball back in this part of the game. Nico threw an interception. Maryland got an easy 8-yard touchdown there from Jameer Glasker. And Maryland's up 10-7 late in the third quarter at this point. Maryland had, at this point of the season, 14 interceptions. 4 of them have been pick 6s. So UCLA can't convert on that 4th and 2 into the end zone. And then later on when they get the ball, or I'm sorry. Maryland, I just said that wrong. I apologize. Maryland was 4th and 2, couldn't get in the end zone. Nice knockdown by UCLA. UCLA takes it over at the 2, but then that's when Nico threw the pick 6. Got that backwards. I apologize for that. So anyway, Malik Washington puts together a drive and ties this game up later on at 17 because UCLA had kicked the field goal to go up 17-10. Maryland ties it at 17 with 44 seconds to go with Jalil Farouk with the catch. And then Nico led a drive. UCLA, Mateen Bagnani kicks a 23-yard field goal at the horn and wins the game 20-17. There. We got it out a lot. That's the entire day around the Big Ten. All right, let's hit up some of your comments and see what's going on. What's on your mind here tonight? Every never fails. Whether we're following an Oregon game or not, it's always the an Oregon comment first. Expecting Oregon to bounce up to 6. Georgia should leapfrog them either to 3rd or 4th. And Robbie checking in. Robbie Robinson. I used to know Robbie Robinson. I wonder if that's the one I know. Indy made a great hire in Signetti and then says, go Ducks. Tanya says Oregon is the only team not complaining about cross-country travel and seems that they've done most of it these past 2 years. Nebraska looked bad, according to Roy. And another person very happy about the Ducks winning today. Michael says that Maryland is a good team that keeps finding ways to lose in the fourth quarter. Yeah, after their 4-0 start, now they're starting to fall apart a little bit. It's not a fan of Mike Loxley, apparently. Tom checking in. Penn State loses again. Possibly again in 2 weeks. I know they got Indiana coming up. That's going to be tough. And a dog's life in Portland. That's an interesting texter name you got there. USC is not going to finish higher than 9-3 if Downtown Lynn doesn't get the secondary to grow up and play better defense. Yeah, there were some times that looked really good and times that they did not. Wine Time Sports says, how about them Bruins? Jonathan, big Ducks fan here. We just need to point out an alarming stat. Oregon missed all of their field goal attempts today. / mostly joking. Okay. What else we got here? Notre Dame should have won by 3 touchdowns, according to RB. David checking in. Go Ducks. And not pulling a Penn State with the Ducks. Bouncing back from a loss. Penn State lost to Oregon and then hasn't won since. Oregon lost to Indiana, and they found a way to bounce back and win. Here's Brad checking in with a go Gophers. All right, very good. Sean saying, hit it, Craig. All right, we're rolling. Rolling here on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. I've just tons of comments here. Campfire 52 says, let's go. And Sean says, let's go Ducks. I appreciate all the comments. I wish I could get to them all right here. Coming up in just a second, I want to take our first look ahead at week 9. If you can believe we're at week 9 in the season already, we will take a look at that. And I will tell you in a minute what game we will go live after next Saturday night. All that coming up on a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. So, gentlemen, maybe you've tried some products like Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even you tried them, or your friends have tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long, and that's exactly where Rougiette Go Long comes in. They're not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The effects can last up to 36 hours. Confidence all day, all night, maybe even to the next day. It's a simple process. All right. You connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online and private. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. And if prescribed your treatment, they couldn't make it easier for you if you go ahead with this. So check it out at Rugiet. It's Rugiet to help level up in the bedroom there. Rugiet.com and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet, Rugiet.com, promo code LockedOnCollege. And make sure that you use that code so that we all know that Locked On Big Ten sent you. And we're fans of games because games are exciting. We're passionate fans. You can be even more excited if you got a little something on it. That's right. FanDuel. NFL season is in full swing. Jump in it right now with this offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. So you just pick a bet. You put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Super easy to use. Point spreads, point totals, player props, futures, parlays, all right there. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today and get started. That's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten Live. We go live on Saturdays. It's what we do. We're here every day with multiple podcasts, but we go live after the biggest games of the weekend. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to look at the schedule. There are a few teams that are on bye this week in the Big Ten, so not quite the big 9-game schedule. No Friday night games. UCLA going to Bloomington to take on the Indiana Hoosiers. Wisconsin is at Oregon. Tough for Wisconsin, right? Northwestern will be taking on Nebraska. I have no idea how that game's going to go. Northwestern's playing pretty well. Nebraska's not. Illinois is at Washington. Minnesota will be taking on Iowa, and Rutgers is at Purdue. Michigan at Michigan State, the in-state rivalry. It was just announced tonight that will be the 7:30 NBC Saturday night game on national TV. That's the game we are going to go live after next week. So Michigan State, 7:30. We'll go live around 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific, right here with Locked On Big Ten Live. USC, Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State all on buys next week. Thanks so much for checking us out here live. If you are new, hit that free subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And if you're checking us out, you're probably a Big Ten fan, unless you're a Notre Dame fan. But that means you know other Big Ten people, family, friends, roommates. Let them know we're out here every single day. We're the most unique Big Ten podcast in the world. Cover all 18 teams. We do all the Big Ten news. We do analysis of that news, and we are not afraid to give you opinion on that analysis of news. All here every single day. Be a part of it. Be in the club. Hit that subscribe button, and that way you can catch us every single day. All right, that'll do it for our live edition. Can't wait to talk to you on Monday. We'll recap it all. Got a lot of great stories coming up. Always appreciate that. But we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday. Also, quick word that you college football fans, we got Locked On and Fire TV presenting the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 anchors it, part of the conversation, along with two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, and also former college star Jesse Holley, and all the Locked On experts come together and preview all the games. It's a college football preview that only Locked On can do, so catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for joining us. For Locked On Big Ten Live, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.